religions forbidden, and drunk driving is forbidden. So this is Portman's list of sins that we all agree are wrong. We shouldn't participate in them. We shouldn't even desire them. So we already all know that certain desires are forbidden for us. And why are they forbidden? They're forbidden because they ruin relationships. If you're desiring to harm the environment, you're ruining your relationship. You're harming your relationship with the environment. If you're desiring to abuse your wife, you're harming your relationship with your wife. If you're desiring to deny the Holocaust, you're harming your relationship with your Jewish friends and neighbors, if you have any. If you're desiring to be racist, you're harming your relationship with your friends and neighbors of other ethnic backgrounds. If you're desiring to disrespect other religions, you are harming your relationship with people from other religions, and so on. The reason why we forbid certain desires for ourselves, and as a country, we forbid most of this on this list, we forbid them from just our populace, because we know it harms the relationship between people. It's anti-social. So we started by talking about all the gambling we do, how it's built upon a desire for something that we don't currently have, but we want to get it for little or no investment. Then we start talking about desires, and we already agree we all have certain desires that we forbid ourselves to have. It's kind of like my children desired to have a new set of parents. They would be harming their relationship with Lana and me. I would not encourage them to desire to have other parents, because then they would never enjoy us for who they are. They would always be thinking, you know, Mom and Dad aren't that great. My imaginary desiring parents wouldn't do that. They would let me do that. If my children started to desire to have a whole new set of parents, they would harm their relationships with us. Now God steps into the picture at this point, and he says, good for you guys, that listed 12 sins, modern sins. That's good, good work. But you see things through a prism. You don't see things like I do. I have a whole bunch of other desires that I want you to forbid yourself to do. They're called forbidden desires. The 10th commandment, the first 9 are like, don't do this, don't do that. They're all action orientated. Don't steal, don't say things about God's name, don't murder. But the 10th one is about desire. It says, do not have forbidden desires. Classically, it's do not covet. But another way of saying that is, do not desire things that are forbidden. So the 10th one is a desire. And in Colossians 3:5, the author writes, if you desire forbidden things, you're committing idolatry. What that means is, you're saying to God, God, I'm desiring other parents at this point, because you are not giving me what I want to have. You don't roll that way. There's a whole bunch of things I'm desiring. You're not offering them to me. So I'm going to look somewhere else to desire who may give me my desires. I'm going to look towards luck, in the gambling instance, towards chance, because they have a better, there's more opportunity there for me to get what I desire, a whole bunch of things that I don't currently have for little or no investment. I have a better chance looking towards luck and chance to get those things, because you're not currently giving them to me. We're desiring a new set of parents in that instance. So God has a whole list of desires that he wants us to forbid. And we can look at it on the positive side too, right? Forbidden desires. Boy, sure negative today, Brian. How about look at it the other way? God, as your great Father, wants to give you all types of blessings. He wants to reward you and give you all kinds of great things in your life. But when you're desiring another set of parents, it's pretty hard for him to give you those blessings. And if he did give them to you, you wouldn't even recognize them for what they were, because you're too busy desiring things that he isn't giving you. So we can look at it in the positive way. Now, just as an aside, before we hit our text where Paul talks about this 10th commandment, as an aside, people, whenever I bring this topic, well, not whenever, I've only started talking about it in the last week, but in the last week, the few people I've talked about it to, they always say, yeah, but it can't be wrong, because when I win the lottery, I'm going to give it to God, or I'm going to give a percentage of it to God, or to charity, etc. I'll use the winnings for God, that's what people always say. And there's two responses to that. One, if you're not currently giving a percentage of the money you make from work, etc., to God, just because you win the lottery doesn't necessitate all of a sudden you're going to change your behavior and start giving to charity. I don't think so. The second reason is, the God of the Bible is in contrast to luck and chance. They're kind of like his enemies. They're not friends. God doesn't roll the way of lotteries and gambling. That's not the way he talks about money. He talks about you work for your money. You work for it, you work hard for it. Once you get it, you realize that money is for me anyways, and I want you to be good stewards with it. He doesn't seem to roll with, here's a bunch of luck, and spin the wheel, roll the dice, you get a bunch of money. Actually, that's from me. No, it's not from you. It's from chance and luck. The God of the Bible does not seem to be the type of God who allows people to win lotteries so that he can get his take. He does not seem to be up there saying, you know, I'm going to let you win the lotto because I really want the 20% you promised me. Doesn't seem to roll that way. So now we're going to go into the text, and we'll see where Paul goes as he talks about desire. So this is on page 772. Page 772, Romans 7. And so far what I've tried to establish is a lot of us have a desire for things that we don't currently have, whether it's money, whole new life, thrills, entertainment. And we go towards gambling because then we have little or no investment there. And we can try and get what we don't currently have rather than turning to God to allow him to meet our needs as he defines our needs. So that's where we've gone so far. I tried to make a case that God has a list of forbidden desires for us that we may not be aware of. So we're going to talk about one right now, which is the one I've already been talking about. I'm going to see what Paul says about it. So this is Romans chapter 7, verse 7. Here's where he goes. What shall we say then? Is the law sinful? Certainly not. What he's talking about is the 10 Commandments, especially the 10th one. The 10th one says, thou shalt not desire things that are forbidden. What should we say then? Is that a sinful rule? Certainly not. Nevertheless, I would not have known what sin was had it not been for the law. A lot of people who are new to faith would not have known that God forbids the desire to get a whole bunch of things with little or no investment that he says are forbidden if the law hadn't said do not desire forbidden things. We wouldn't have known it. That's what he's saying here. The 10th commandment, we would not have known that a bunch of these desires are bad if the 10th commandment didn't say these desires are bad. For I would not have known what coveting was if the law had not said you shall not covet. I would not have known that desiring forbidden things was wrong if the law did not say thou shalt not desire forbidden things. Verse 8. But sin, here he kind of personifies sin, makes it almost like a force. Seizing the opportunity afforded by the commandment produced in me every kind of coveting. What he's saying is, before I knew there was forbidden desires, I used to desire all those things all the time and I didn't know they were wrong. But then God comes in and says, you can't have forbidden desires. And all of a sudden, I want to desire them more than I ever did before. For apart from the law, sin was dead. Sin wasn't even a category for us until the law came in and said, that's forbidden. Verse 9. Once I was alive apart from the law, but when the commandment came, sin sprang to life and I died. Verse 10. I found that the very commandment that was intended to bring life, God in the Old Testament says, here's my law, here's the things I want you to have, here's the things I forbid. And I'll bless you like crazy if you keep forbidding these things and keep embracing these other things. You'll have the greatest life ever. Sounds good. But we can't seem to do it because we keep desiring forbidden things and we keep acting on those desires. So in the end, we fail. We're dead. The relationship with God is harmed because we're desiring a whole new set of parents. Verse 11. For sin, seizing the opportunity afforded by the commandment, deceived me, and through the commandment put me to death. Verse 12. So then, the law is holy, the commandment is holy, righteous and good. Verse 13. Did that which is good then become death? To me, by no means. Here's the key sentence here. Nevertheless, in order that sin might be recognized as sin, those things have always been forbidden. We just didn't know about it. We're living in ignorance. So God, in his goodness, wanted us to know what was right and what was wrong. In order that sin might be recognized as sin, it used what is good, the rule, the 10th commandment, to bring about my death, to show me